Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I hope everyone is doing great. So in this video guys, I will be diving deep into the details of the DIY spousal visa application. As many of you have been asking questions that I know others are also curious about, I'll walk you through the checklist step by step and share how I prepare the supporting documents. Just a quick disclaimer, I am not affiliated with IRCC, nor I am connected to anyone who works there. This video is solely based on my personal experience during my application and what I did. So for context, we applied for spousal category under family class outside Canada. We got married in the Philippines and we have no dependent children and no prior marriages. We got married in March 2023. We submitted our application in June 2023, received my visa in November 2023, and I arrived here in Canada in December 2023. So the entire process took us less than 6 months, and I hope this video can help guide you through your journey. Without further ado, let's get started. First, when you're inside the application portal, download the checklist. This will serve as your step-by-step guide. You can either print it out so you have it handy at all times, or simply save it to your computer, whichever works best for you. If you're not sure how to access the application portal, be sure to check out my previous video where I explain how to start your DIY spousal application and what documents you'll need to prepare. For the checklist, this is the IMM 5533. In my previous video, I already explained how to tell if you have the latest version of the checklist. To check, just simply download the checklist. Once you open it, you'll see the latest updated date listed on the document. At the bottom, it will say IMM 5533-09-2022, which means this version was last updated in September 2022. So if you're watching this video later and the checklist has been updated since then, you can easily verify if you have the most current version by checking the date on the document. So this is my original checklist. This is the one that I submitted to IRCC. The basic rule is simple. Follow the instructions carefully. Take the time to read and understand everything to avoid mistakes in your application. Remember that even small errors such as incorrect informations, missing signatures, simple spelling mistakes can result in your application being returned or, in the worst case, refused. So it's crucial to answer everything slowly, carefully, and accurately. If there are mistakes, your application may be returned, leading to additional waiting time. So always double check everything and never rush to submit your application. Let's proceed. First is the document checklist. So it says here, as you walk through steps, check for each applicable item. So if it doesn't apply to you, you can leave that portion. The checklist specifies that you must upload it with your application. This means you need to fill out this form and upload it to the portal. Second, application to sponsor, or the IMM 1344. So this form needs to be completed by both the sponsor and the principal applicant, and it must be digitally signed. So when digitally signing these forms, there are two options, and the form will tell you if it requires an e-signature or if simply typing your name will suffice. I'll show you how to do it later. Number 3 is the application fees. These are the fees that you need to pay, which includes the sponsorship fee, application fee, and biometrics fee. And for the right of permanent residence fee, while you have the option to pay these fees at the later time, I highly recommend paying all these fees before you submit your application to help reduce your waiting time. If you wait until they review your application and they see that you haven't paid these fees yet, they will send you a request to pay it, which will add more processing time. So it's better to pay it upfront. To find out how much you need to pay, I'll include that link in the description box below. I discussed this in more detail in my previous video, so you might want to check out that video. And once you've completed the payment, make sure to save the receipt on your computer, as you need to upload that in the portal. Number 4 is financial evaluation, or IMM 1283. You only need to fill out this form if the person you're sponsoring has one or more dependent children. Since we don't have any dependent children, I skipped this part. However, if your spouse has dependent children, you might need to complete this form. Also, if you're a resident of Quebec, you don't need to fill out this form. The instructions are clearly stated in the checklist, so I'm confident you can handle this. Next part of the checklist is for the sponsored persons. So principal, applicant, and family members. Again, make sure to read the bolded parts carefully as they contain important notes. So number 5 is class of application. So here you need to select which option applies for you. So for us, it's the second option, which states that I am currently living outside Canada and I am applying under the family class. This applies because I was in the Philippines during the application process. Next is the generic application form, the IMM 0008. This form needs to be filled out by the principal applicant and any dependents. So when you create your account, it will ask you to add your dependents. If you forget to add them during the initial setup, once you're inside the IMM 0008, you can always go back and edit it. Here it says if you want to add, edit, or remove a spouse, partner, or dependent from your application, you must make the changes in the profile page. So click profile page, and then here at the bottom you can see spouse, partner, or dependent's profile, so you can add your dependents in this section. If the dependent is accompanying you or not, you still need to add them. So let's say yes, let's say it's your kid, so child. I'll just make up a name and date of birth. Okay, so save details, and then it will be here, and then save and continue. And then you can always go back to this form, edit it, complete it until you reach to the dependent section. So the dependent you added will be already here, so you have to edit it and then fill out their details. So UCI is a unique client identifier number. If you don't know what is a UCI, you can always click this one and it will give you information what is UCI and how you can obtain it. So if you are applying for the first time, you won't have an UCI yet. So just put NA or not applicable in this part. Here in the relationship to principal applicant, it will ask for dependent type. Here it says type A dependent, type B dependent, type C dependent. So for you to know if what type of dependent you have, you can check. This site have the glossary and explanation for different words that IRCC is using. So to know what type of dependent you have, you can check it out here. It says dependent type. If you're having a hard time to find this portion, just simply click Control F or Command F and then type dependent, and it will show you all the words. So here it will tell you all the types of dependents. So you can then select it from there, which type of dependent you have. So let's say dependent A, and then just fill out this section with their informations. So once you're done and you save it, it will send you back to the main application portal page. So I'm going to add the link of the glossary in the description box below. Once you finish, you can save and continue. If you need to edit anything later, you can always go back and make changes as long as the application hasn't been submitted. If you need help filling out this form, you can always refer to the instruction guide. I'll include as well the link in the description box below. Number 7 is the country-specific requirements. So make sure to check this link to see if there are any additional documents required for your country. Once you click this link, it will redirect you to this page. Answer the question on this page, and in our case, I selected Philippines and then click Get Checklist and Forms. This is also another way to access the checklist, the IMM 5533. If you haven't created your application portal yet, just scroll down and you'll see the country-specific requirements. So for Philippines, it says here that there are no extra forms for this country, but for other documents such as birth certificate, marriage certificate, death certificate, you still have to submit those. If you hold a Philippine passport, to prove your marital status of the application, the applicant must submit a copy of CENMAR or Certificate of No Marriage and Philippine Statistic Authority Advisory on Marriages. So for the marriage certificate, let me quickly share how we were able to expedite our marriage certificate, as this is often where many newlyweds get stuck in the process. So normally, a PSA marriage certificate takes about 6 months to be available. However, I requested ours in the first week of May 2023 and received it by first week of June. There were holidays and weekends during that time, so it took us about a month, but that's still much faster than waiting the typical 6 months, right? So after our wedding, we asked the church coordinator when we could get our marriage certificate. So note that this certificate is not yet authenticated by PSA. It's simply the one we signed in the church during the ceremony. So usually couples pick it up from the church 15 business days after the wedding, but some churches submit it directly to your LCR or your local civil registry. So the first thing you need to do is ask first the church if you need to pick it up from them or if they will submit it directly to LCR. So once the document is with LCR, it may stay there for 2 weeks up to a month before they're going to submit it to PSA for authentication. If your document is still with LCR, ask them for an endorsement or transmit a letter to PSA to speed up the process. So you'll likely receive a form or a stub, which you will then take to PhilSys, not PSA, since PSA doesn't process this directly. PhilSys is the office where we can obtain our national ID. So they will send an electronic endorsement to PSA. So PhilSys will be the one to send the endorsement to PSA, and you can receive your marriage certificate in about 15 business days. If you have a national ID, you can bring it with you just in case PhilSys will ask for it. So recently, I've seen some people mentioning that PSA is asking for a letter of urgency to expedite the process. So I'm not really sure if it's PSA or LCR who's asking for letter of urgency, but I don't have more details on that. So for now, I recommend trying the steps I did and see if it works for you, and I hope it does. Oh, by the way, I saw people saying to print this part, country-specific requirements, to show to LCR or PSA that the PSA marriage certificate is required for your application. So maybe try that one as well. I don't know, just try everything to expedite your marriage certificate. So as long as your marriage certificate is not yet in PSA, you can take steps to expedite your marriage certificate. Once you're okay with the specific requirements, check this box, and then if you have no further forms to submit, simply write NA or not applicable. Next is IMM 5406. This form is for your details, including the principal applicant and dependents, as well as your parents and siblings information. So after that, we have IMM 5669. So in the portal, it's this one, the background declaration form. When you open this form in the portal, you will see all the questions. Answer them truthfully, as they are personal, covering topics like your education, government, or military services, etc. The next item on the checklist is the IMM 5532, the relationship information and sponsorship evaluations. This needs to be filled out by both the principal applicant and the sponsor. So if you go to the application portal, you can download it here. Just click download. So once you open it, the checklist indicates which section each person is required to complete. So for this one, part A, this portion is to be filled out by the sponsor. And then if you're going to scroll down, this portion, part B, needs to be filled out by the principal applicant. So just read the instructions carefully. So number 11 on the checklist is the use of representative, IMM 5476. In our case, we do not have a representative, so I selected this option. I am not appointing a representative. If you do have a representative, you'll need to check this option and complete IMM 5476. Unfortunately, I am not discussing this part as I don't have personal experience with this form. Next is IMM 5475. Since we don't have a representative, I did not fill out this form. Instead, I checked not applicable, and then I proceeded to part B, which covers the required supporting documents. So if you're having a representative, you have to complete this form. So for the supporting documents, it states that you must provide certified translation in either English or French for all documents that are not already in English or French. So these supporting documents must be uploaded in PDF format. So first is the status in Canada. So as mentioned, my husband is a permanent resident in Canada. So I selected the first option and provided his PR card. You can submit either PR card or the COPR, or confirmation of permanent residence. If your sponsor is a Canadian citizen, provide any of the required documents listed. If you are Indian, you'll need to provide the specific documents required for Indian nationals. So second, are you, the sponsor, a Canadian citizen living outside Canada? For us, the answer is no. However, if your sponsor lives outside Canada, they must provide proof that they intend to live in Canada with the principal applicant once the application is approved. The next question, do you, the sponsor, and the person you're sponsoring have children together who may have a claim to Canadian citizenship? Since we don't have children together, so I answered no. Next is previous relationships. Are you, the sponsor, currently married to anyone other than the person you're sponsoring? For us, the answer is no. If you answer yes, but you are legally separated, then you need to provide the legal documents that you have. Next is, have you, the sponsor, previously been sponsored yourself for a permanent residence? In our case, the answer is yes, as my husband was sponsored by his mother for PR. So you will need to provide the details of your sponsor's sponsor. So in this case, I wrote my husband's mother's name and birthday. Have you, the sponsor, ever been previously married? For us, the answer is no. And if you answer yes, you must provide the required document for each previous marriage. For instance, if the sponsor has been married twice or more, you'll need to provide documentation for each marriage. And since this does not apply to us, I just wrote not applicable. Next, have you, the sponsor, ever previously been in a common law relationship? For us, it's no. And if you answer yes, they might ask to provide additional information about previous common law relationship at a later time. So next item for the checklist is the employment or source of income. And it's important to note that these supporting documents are only for the sponsor, not the principal applicant. I often get asked, does the PA also need to provide proof of income? The answer is no. This section applies solely to the sponsor. For applicants from Quebec, you do not need to complete this section. And this part of the application demonstrates that the sponsor can financially support the principal applicant, and the sponsor needs to provide the following documents. So if the sponsor is working in Canada, the sponsor must provide an original letter from the employer that includes their period of employment, their salary, regular hours, and they have to also provide provide their notice of assessment and proof of income statement. So if the sponsor is self-employed, you need to provide supporting financial documents along with CRA documents, the notice of assessment and proof of income as well. So these documents can be downloaded from the CRA website, and if the sponsor's marital status with CRA is still listed as single, it must be updated to married, and you can do this by contacting CRA directly or following the instruction on their website. For the sponsor, what we provided are a letter from his employer, the CRA notice of assessment, and the CRA proof of income. So frequently asked questions: does IRCC have a specific required income for approval? The answer is yes. IRCC likely has income requirements to assess whether the sponsor can support the principal applicant, but these requirements are not explicitly stated in the checklist. That's why IRCC requests the notice of assessment to evaluate whether the sponsor has a sufficient financial capability. For your reference, this is a proof of income from CRA. Here at line 1500, total income, it shows here your sponsor's total income. So IRCC uses this information to determine eligibility. And this is notice of assessment from CRA as well. So important reminder, the sponsor must update their marital status with CRA to married if it is still listed as single. Next on the checklist is supporting documents for the principal applicants. So number one is the identity documents, travel documents, and passport. As a principal applicant, you are required to submit your most recent issued passport. So I highly recommend ensuring that your passport is valid for at least 1 year or more. This is to avoid complications, as the passport will be used in your application and the passport number will be included in the documents. So if you have family members accompanying you to Canada, their passport also need to be submitted. If you apply for spousal visa and your passport is close to expiration while your application is still in progress, you may encounter issues. For example, if your application is already approved but your passport expires, you'll need to renew it. This will result in a new passport number, potentially causing inconsistencies in your application. Another important point that I want to mention is the name on your passport. So the name on your passport will be the name you're going to use throughout your application and will appear on your PR card. So for the frequently asked questions, can I use my married name in the application? The answer is yes. You can use your married name if your passport is in your married name. However, if your passport is still in your maiden name, you must use your maiden name in the application to match the information in your passport. If you want to use your married name, then you will need to apply or renew your passport with your married name before submitting your application. So for the passport, you only need to scan the front page, which shows your passport details such as your name, your passport number, birth date, and passport expiration, etc. All these details are in the front page and you don't have to scan all the pages of your passport. So read through this section to determine if this situation applies to you and follow the steps accordingly. Next is birth certificate for the principal applicants and all dependents, whether they are accompanying you to Canada or not. So for residents of the Philippines, ensure that your birth certificate is issued by PSA or Philippine Statistics Authority. And regarding the baptismal certificate, based on my personal knowledge, if you are late registered, you might need to provide your baptismal certificate as well. However, I only submitted my PSA birth certificate. If you're unsure, you can submit both documents. There's no problem with doing so. Again, check your country-specific requirements for other documents that may be required depending on your country. I'll leave that link in the description box below for your easy access. And as for the national identity card, I simply selected neither of the above applies to me. In the Philippines, we now have a national ID, which is now a new government-issued identification card, but it doesn't have an expiration date. Although the checklist mentions providing a copy of your national identity card, it is not listed in the country-specific requirements for the Philippines. That's why I selected the last option. Next is civil status documents. So you need to determine your specific situation in your current relationship. So in our case, we are married, so we provided our PSA issued marriage certificate. So for previous relationships, read through the options and identify which one applies to you. So in our case, we have no previous marriages and are not in a common law relationship, so none of the above applies to me. Next is additional information about children. Since we have no children together, this part is not applicable to us, so I did not complete this section. And if you have minor child, a child aged 22 years or older, or adopted children, you will need to provide the required documents. I apologize apologize for not being able to discuss this part in details as I don't have a personal experience with it and I don't want to provide incorrect information. However, the instructions for this section are fairly straightforward, so you can simply follow them as outlined. So next is the police certificate and clearances. For applicants from the Philippines, you must submit NBI clearance. What I did was obtain an updated NBI clearance with my marital status updated to married, and you can visit the NBI's official website for the list of requirements and the application process. So some people are asking if they need to submit NBI clearance and police certificate. So NBI clearance is enough. You don't need to submit police certificate or police clearance. So here, the instruction also states that you need to provide police certificate for any country other than Canada where you've spent 6 months or more consecutively since the age of 18. In my case, I have lived in the Philippines my entire life, so I checked this box and wrote Philippines. Next is military services. So for this section, I have not done any military services, so I simply check no. Next is photos. So for your application, you need to submit a specific photo which will be used for your permanent resident photo card, and you have to follow the exact requirements of that photo. If you do not follow these instructions, it may result in delays to your application. So here is the permanent resident photo specification. I'm going to add the link as well on the description box below for your reference. So at the back of your photo, ask the studio or photographer to write the following details: your name and date of birth, and then the complete address of the photography studio and the date the photograph was taken. They can either use a stamp or handwrite this information. So what you need to do is print this instruction letter, then bring it to a professional photographer or studio. Make sure that the picture is not altered in any way. Do you know how photo studios sometimes edit photos to make you look more professional? Even doing that is not acceptable. So go to the studio and wear the clothes you want to appear in the photo. Like if you want it to be formal, then wear clothes that is formal. But there's no way the photo can be edited in any way. So just read through all the instructions carefully. Here at the bottom, you can see what is acceptable and what is not. So next is the medical examination. It clearly states here that I don't have to complete a medical examination at this time, so I skip this part. Next is proof of relationship to sponsor. So this is the part where you must provide evidence that the relationship between you and the sponsor is genuine. So you have to answer the following question. First is, are you and your spouse currently living together? So we answered no. If you answer no, then you have to provide both proof of contact and proof of sponsor's visit. So for the proof of contact, you need to provide letters, text messages, emails, social media conversations, and other documents that show proof of contact between you and your sponsor. It says here to provide a maximum of 10 pages with your application. So it doesn't matter how many images or screenshots you put on one page as long as you provide a maximum of 10 pages. So some people are asking, what if I submit more than 10 pages? So that's also fine. The more proofs you can provide, the better. And please note that this conversation or letters must be in English or French. If they are not in English or French, then you need to provide a certified translation of these letters and conversation. Now you may ask, how can I certify the translations? So according to what I've read on Facebook support groups, you can ask for help from a professional translator, a professional licensed English teacher to translate your conversations. They can then write a letter stating that they certify that translation that they did for you, including their signature and ID, and have a lawyer notarize that letter. So I personally have no experience with this because the conversation I provided were all in English. So I highly suggest that you join Facebook support groups because there are people on those groups with personal experience with this one who can help guide you through this process. So next is proof of your sponsor's visit. This includes your sponsor's plane ticket, flight details, passport stamp, and boarding passes. So if your sponsor hasn't visited you, you need to provide an explanation letter in the IMM 5532 form. Both of these documents, the proof of contact and proof of sponsor's visit, must be uploaded in the following format, either JPG, JPEG, or PDF. If you answer yes, you have to pick at least two of these options. If you did not check yes or no, then you have to check this box and provide a detailed explanation and cohabitation evidence that you have. Next is, do you and your spouse have any children together? In our case, it's no, but if you answer yes, then follow this instruction instructions. Is this your first marriage for both you and your sponsor? In our case, this is our first marriage, so my answer is yes. So if you answer no, make sure that you and your sponsor have provided the document requested in section B of the checklist for the previous relationships. So if you scroll up, this is the part B of the checklist, and this is the previous relationship portion. It says here that if you have been previously married, then you have to provide these options. So I think that's what they are referring to, this portion. Okay, so next, have you and your sponsor have been married for a minimum of 2 years as of the date of the application? My answer is no, because we were married on March 2023 and we applied on June 2023. So next, check here if you answered yes to all 4 questions above, which is this one, questions A until letter D. Since I did not answer yes to all 4 questions, I have to proceed to step E, where I have to provide supporting photos of our customary celebrations, such as weddings, engagement parties, travels, outing, etc. And it says to provide a maximum of 20 photos. So if you'll ask, can I submit fewer than 20 photos? Yes, they only require a maximum of 20. So fewer than 20 is acceptable as long as those photos are of important events that would strengthen your proof of relationship. Can I submit more than 20 photographs? If you want to, sure you can, but it's not necessary. I prefer to follow the instructions. In addition to these photographs, you also need to provide a separate document with description of each photo, explaining the situation in each photo, and make sure that they are labeled accordingly. And ensure that these documents are in correct format, which is JPG, JPEG, or PDF. And later, I will show you samples of how I prepared our supporting documents for your reference. So next is select at least 2 of the following options and provide the document requested for each. So I only selected 2 in these options. If you want to provide all 4, that's also fine. In our case, I provided the documentary evidence of financial support and other proof that our relationship is recognized by our family and friends. And in any case that you cannot give at least 2, then you have to check this box and follow these instructions. Please take note that even if you provide this document, there's still a possibility that the official handling your case may ask you to provide additional documents if they are not satisfied with the proof that you provided. So bear in mind that every case is unique, so it is really case-to-case basis. The last part of this checklist is the signatures. So this section is your guide for all the documents that need your signature. Double check that you have provided all required signature on these forms, and remember that even one missing signature can result in the return of your application. So just check each item once you have verified that the forms have been signed to make sure you don't miss any forms. Okay, so we're done discussing the checklist. I hope I didn't miss anything and that this helps you understand how this checklist can guide you throughout your application. So now I'm going to share how I prepared all the supporting documents, since many of you who are starting the application are confused about how to prepare them. I understand how important it is to get this part right, as we all want our application to be perfect and most of all not get returned. So let's get started. In preparing all these supporting documents, I edited all of them in Canva. So maybe some of you are already familiar with Canva, but for those who are not, Canva is a free-to-use online graphic design tool. It's easy to navigate even if you're not tech savvy. So I prefer using this one. You can also use Google Docs or Microsoft Word. It's your personal preference, but I highly suggest Canva. This is not sponsored, by the way. So on your browser, you just have to type in canva.com. So once you're inside Canva, you just have to sign up and make a free account. So if you're asking if you can do this on your mobile phone, yes, you can do it through your mobile phones. You can download Canva app, but the screen will be too small. So it's better to do it on your computer or laptop. So once you're inside Canva, you can click create a design. There are many options like presentations, video, Instagram, social media, videos. What you're going to do is look for document A4 portrait. So there is also another design which is doc, but I don't recommend this one because using doc, it will come out just like a typical document like Google Docs or Microsoft Word. Once you're going to upload a file or an image, let's say this one, you'll be able to resize it, but you're not able to drag it anywhere in the document. While the other size that I recommend, the document A4, you just have to type in A4. So once you click this one and upload an image, the reason I prefer this option is that it allows me to drag and drop images freely. If you choose the Docs option, you can add photos, but it's harder to place images exactly where you want. So just use the document A4 portrait. Once you're inside the document, you can start uploading your photos and design them as you wish. So just click upload and then upload files, and then it will let you select the images you want. If you wanted to add text, just click text and then add text box, and then it will let you write anything you want. And then once you're done designing them, you can rename the file here at the top. So you can put the correct naming convention of the file and then click share, download. So here in the file type, you can select either JPG file format or the PDF standard. I always saved mine as PDF standard, and then download it. It will be saved in your computer. So once done, just click this button to go back home, and then you can proceed with creating your other supporting documents. If you ever need to edit something, you can easily go back to the file, make changes, and then download it again. Canva is very user-friendly, so I know that you can easily navigate through this one. I'll show you my supporting documents for your reference. So as you can see, they were all created inside Canva. So first is the proof of contact. I divided our proof of contact into 3 separate documents and renamed them as last name, first name, proof of contact 1, 2, and 3. So here's the sample. First is the video call screenshot. So I added a note at the top of each document to help the reviewing officer understand the context of the document. I made sure to include the proof of contact from the start of our relationship up to present. So since we've been in a long distance relationship since 2016, the screenshots I provided is from 2016 to 2023. So as you can see, the dates and my sponsor's name are visible in the screenshots. So these are all the samples that I have, the date, the location, and some of them were Instagram stories. I just took screenshots and then included the date. So this one, I put my last name, first name, and proof of contact 1. The second one is the messenger conversations. This includes our messages exchanged on Messenger. And again, I added a note to provide context. So unfortunately, we deleted some of our earlier messages, which is a very bad decision we did before. And I don't know why we did that, but I could only retrieve conversations starting from 2019. So these messages includes anniversary, monthsary, and birthday greetings, as well as few messenger calls. So 4 untranslated words such as mahal, bebe, and bo, I didn't have them translated because there are terms of endearments, and thankfully this didn't affect our application. So if you're unsure, it's safer to have everything translated. So this one, again, I renamed it as last name, first name, and then proof of contact. The third one is FaceTime video and audio call screenshot. So again, I just added notes for the officer's reference, and then I also indicated here the email and the phone number of my sponsor, just so they will know that they are the same person. And then I just rename it as last name, first name, and then proof of contact tree. So these are all our proof of contact. I just separated them just to be more clear and organized, and I renamed the files accordingly. Next is proof of sponsor's visit. For this, I labeled his first and second visit with their respective dates. So here, first visit, and then I included the travel itineraries, receipts, and passport stamp, and I renamed it as sponsor's last name, first name, and proof of visit. So next is our proof of relationship supporting photos. Since this document requires a description, I added a note referencing the separate document for description, and I included also its document name. So in these photos, I labeled each photo with the number, this one, and the date and the location where the photo is taken. And then in the separate document, this is now the description file. I used the same labels as in the photo file and added a short description on each event. So for example, this one, and this is the corresponding image for the description. So I added the date and the location, and then for the description, I added here our church wedding together with the officiating priest, and then I put the priest name, and so on and so forth. For our travels, I took a screenshot of the photos and I included a date, and this one is labeled as number 5. So here it has the date and the location, and then the description, we had an out-of-town trip together with our friends. So just put a brief description describing what are the events in the photo. So for the file name, I just put principal applicant's last name, first name, proof of relationship supporting photos 1. And then for the description, it's principal applicant's last name, first name, proof of relationship supporting photos, and then I just added description and then 2 because these documents are connected to each other. Next is the documentary evidence of financial support. So for the documentary evidence of financial support, I just compiled all the receipts we had and saved them as PDF. Most of them are screenshots from our email confirmations. I just made sure that it has the date, the name of the sponsor, and also my name. For the document name, it's principal applicant's last name, first name, evidence of financial support. So just the same thing to save it, just click share and then download, and then file type is PDF PDF standard and then click download. Next is proof of relationship recognized by friends and family. This document includes social media posts we made and posts from our friends and family that we were tagged in and screenshots of reactions and comments. So like for this one, this is a public post wherein it shows my sponsor's name, my name, and as well as the reactions and comments. And then here are our family and friends Facebook posts. As you can see, it shows our name. So this is just the proof that our relationship is recognized by our friends and family. So others, if they don't have screenshots like this, what they do is they ask their friends and family to write a letter to vouch for their relationship. But for me, all I did was just social media screenshots. I just made sure that it shows my name and my sponsor's name as well as the dates. For the document name, it's principal applicant's last name, first name, proof of relationship recognized by friends and family. Next is sponsor's proof of income. So these documents includes my husband's employment letter and verification, including his hourly rate, job functions, and etc. And then his proof of income from CRA. So this is the line 15,000. It shows there his total income, and then the CRA notice of assessment. So these two documents, you can get it from your CRA account. Just visit CRA's website. So for the document name, it should be sponsor's last name, first name, and proof of income. So I guess that's it for all the supporting documents, guys. Please take note that this is specifically for outland applicants who don't have dependents. So if you are applying inland, you have dependents, or Quebec applicants, there's a little difference in our process. So I highly suggest to read through the checklist for your reference. So for frequently asked questions, should I use e-signature in all documents, or is just writing my name okay? So all forms indicate whether you need to write your name or add an e-signature. The main key here is to read. So for example, in IMM 1344, it clearly states here that I agree that by typing my name, I am electronically signing my application. So that means you have to type in your full name, and also you have to put in the date. So for this one, it asks for sponsor's signature. So it needs sponsor's full name, and here at the bottom is principal applicant's full name as well. And for IMM 5532, you will see here a signature icon, and it says I declare that the information I have given is truthful, complete, and correct. And then there's a signature icon. That means you need to add in your e-signature and the date here. How can I make an e-signature? So there are many free tools available online to create an e-signature. You can also make one inside PDF, but I will show you how to do it online. You can simply search Google for free signature maker, and you will find several options. So one tool I tried is Sign Well. So when you click this one, it will redirect you to their main page, and it will give you options to draw signature or type signature. So since the document needs your e-signature, you can click draw signature, and then you can start drawing your signature. So example, that is your signature. So you can save it, and make sure to save it with a transparent background. So toggle this button on and then download. So once you download it, it will be saved as PNG. So that means the image has no background. You can then add it to your document. How can I add my e-signature inside the document? So all documents requiring an e-signature needs to be opened in Adobe PDF Reader, and ensure that you have the latest version installed. You can do this even if you are using a free account. So example, you're going to open a document. Once you have the document open, click all tools, then scroll down, view more, and then here at the bottom you can see fill and sign. So you can click that one, or you can also click e-sign here at the top. So here it will give you options to add signature or add initials. So once you click that one, you will see three options to type, draw, or image. You can also put in your signature through here. So let's say this is your signature. So if you check this box and then apply, and then you'll be able to add your signature in the document. And then the other option, if you click add initials, and then if you choose image, you can upload the e-signature you created earlier. Let's say this one, select image, check save signature, and then apply. Once uploaded, the signature will be saved in Adobe, so you can reuse it whenever needed. So your sponsor can also send you their e-signature, and then you can always delete it. So that's how you're going to add it. So there are documents that the e-sign doesn't work, just like here. If I try it on IMM 5532, the option is not enabled on my end. So
I'm going to show you how to enable it in Adobe PDF Reader, but this time I am using Windows. I tried doing this on Mac, but I'm having trouble doing so. So first, when you download a form, in this case the IMM 5532, when you save it to your computer, open it in Adobe PDF Reader, And if this one shows up, just simply open the file inside the PDF Reader application. Once done, open the file, and as you can see, the options are not enabled even if we click the e-sign button. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this icon, the print icon, then select Microsoft Print to PDF, or in some computers, it would only say Print to PDF. Then click Print, and it will ask you to save it. Before saving it, rename it. What I did was I just removed the E and saved it. Now open the new document we just saved, which is this one. Then it will now enable the signature options. As you can see, these options are now available. So now click All Tools, then View More, and Fill and Sign, or just hit e-sign. And as you can see, this portion is now enabled. So if we scroll down, we can see here that this form needs an e-sign. So click the signature you have and drag it into this box. You can resize it however you want, then put the date here. In the initials, if you're filling out on behalf of your sponsor or PA, you can upload their e-sign here as an image so you can attach it to the forms. Or it can be your signature here. And let's say this is your signature, then check this box here at the bottom. Then click apply so the signature will be saved inside Adobe PDF Reader and you'll be able to use it in other documents. When you're done, simply save it and upload it in the portal. If it won't work for you, then the only option you can do is to print this form, then sign it, scan it, and upload it in the portal.
So I think that's it, guys. I hope I was able to help you address some questions and guide you in preparing on your application. This video is already quite long and I couldn't cover each IMM forms one by one. So maybe I'll make a separate video to address those in detail. So if you have any questions or clarifications, feel free to comment down below and I'll address them in my next video. That's it for today's video, guys. If you found this video helpful, please like, leave a comment, share it with your friend, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to click the notification bell for more videos like this. Bye!